Hey guys, what's up? This is Eric Nam, and I'm on the Zach Sang Show, and I don't know what we actually talked about. I think we just laughed and yelled at each other for about an hour. That's actually what happened. But most importantly, I have a new album out. It's called There and Back Again. Please stream it, and I'm on tour in 52 cities, ericnam.com, and stay healthy, stay safe. Love you guys. Enjoy the show. Zach Sang. Hello, you beautiful human.
It's pretty good. Pretty. Hello, beautiful human. I'm Zach Sang. That's Dan. This is Eric Nam.
Oh, we're starting. Of course, yes.
Yeah, this is how we started.
I know.
There's no legitimate anything.
I'm that legitimate human, so it's fine. It's all good.
That's bull squash. You do a lot. You have a lot, and I feel like you do a lot in every facet of your career. And when you're talking about podcasting, which is, I mean, you had 3 podcasts. Like, why do you need 3 podcasts? Can't you consolidate?
Nobody needs 3 podcasts.
Yeah,
which is why we slimmed them all down.
How do you travel? Do you take a bus? What's your deal?
On tour, we're taking a bus. Yeah. And then we thought about swimming across the Atlantic and Pacific, but we figured a flight might be better there.
That is really the safest bet.
I thought so, yeah.
Or you could take a cruise ship if you're afraid of flying.
Being trapped on a boat is not the ideal situation.
You know what? For some people it is. Benny Blanco, Travis Barker used to travel by boat.
That's right, he did.
Are they terrified of planes?
That is correct.
That is why.
Yes.
But yeah, like me on a Carnival cruise ship from like New Jersey to London sounds like hell. I'm not doing that.
Alone? That's really eerie. Ooh, that's a lot.
Yes.
Let's dive into an album that seems to be different. It is a sophomore English album for you.
It is.
And a sophomore album is very scary.
It is. The call is.
There and Back Again. That title has meaning because you've been a lot of places.
I have. I have, yeah.
You've done a lot and lived a lot of life. I'm assuming that's what you mean by the title or what?
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, so I try to think of like, what are we going to call this album? What am I even going to do?
What? What do you mean, what are you going to do?
It was a serious conversation. Okay, so for context, I am now a fully independent artist.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. For the first time in my life, I am a fully independent artist, and it comes with great excitement, but also a ton of anxiety and stress because like literally everything is on you. Like I'm funding everything. Everything lands on me, and so to want to put out a new project and it be the first thing that you're putting out and stepping out into the world with, it's a lot of pressure. So I know a lot of people talk about like the sophomore, like whatever.
Sophomore slump.
Yeah. I don't care anything about that. Like honestly, to be very frank, that first all English album, I didn't really realize it was an LP or an album. It was just like, hey, if you put 7 songs on it, we'll give you more funding. I was like, great, we'll put 7 songs on it. And they're like, that's your first LP. I was like, oh. And so people were like, this is your second. I was like, I guess. Like, yeah. I'm trying not to like put too much meaning on that. But when it comes to the music, this was the longest that I've ever spent writing songs for an album. Because up until this point, it's always been like, get in, you're in LA for 5 days, you're writing 2 a day, and then like hopefully we have enough to fill an EP or a single or something.
In that moment, do you feel like you're forcing things out when you're trying to do 2 songs in a day?
Yeah, and that's why it was always like I don't want to do this, but at the same time like we have to get something out, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, we'll try it. And then also, very clear, I'm totally open to just taking other people's songs, like other writers' songs. I don't need or feel the need to write all my own songs. But
not having that as a factor when putting together a body of work, does that help you, or do you feel like that's an asset? Because in that moment you are just going for quality, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what.
I'm going for quality, and I'm going for whatever I think I sound incredible on, or whatever speaks to me. And sometimes I feel like I don't have to be the one to write my own story, or I don't, like everybody has writers, they have ghostwriters, even novelists or autobiographies. Everybody has people that help. And so for me, I'm like, a great song is a great song, period. And as a singer, that's when I get to singer mode. How do I deliver this song as a vocalist the best I can and deliver this person's message the best I can? And then there's moments where it's like, this is my story that I want to tell a certain way. And I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think we could do it however we want. And it almost feels like some people like, you have to write everything. I'm like, do you? Like, you may not be the strongest. You might be a great vocalist, but you may not be the best lyricist and songwriter.
Totally.
Which I think is fine.
And by the way, it's whatever works for you. There's no one path or one formula.
Yeah. So, but I probably started in February, and then we took like 6 months just in and out of the studio, different sessions, and like.
All in L.A.?
L.A. and Zooms.
Where were they based, or where were you?
I was in Atlanta, and then I was here, and then briefly in Korea, but mostly in L.A.
How often do you go to Korea?
So pre-pandemic, I say I would be in and out of Korea twice a month.
Oh, wow.
Like I would be based there. Like 2019, September through December, I was in and out twice a month, every month from September through January or something.
Do you still have a house there?
Yeah.
Cool. So it's just like chilling.
So it's just burning rent, burning money,
collecting
for no reason.
dust.
I hate it, but hopefully, when things stabilize more with the pandemic, it's much more of like a back and forth situation.
The one thing I was wondering, do you still consider yourself a K-pop artist?
Yes and no, both.
Like, how do you define that genre? Because musically, it is broad.
It is very broad, and that's why it's like it's confusing, it's confuddling to me. But like, to be frank, and I don't mean this in any sort of like negative way. I don't care because I want whoever, like, this is how I have to think about it. People come across me and my music and the things that I do for different things. Some people know me for podcasting, some people know me for TV, some people know me for music in Korea, other people know me for my collaborations with a bunch of Western artists. And so however they come across my music and however they want to define me musically, that's up to them. Some people, they're like, I really love K-pop and you're part of that K-pop sphere. Great. Other people are like, you just have pop music and so you're just like any other top 40 American artist. That's great too. So I think for a long time I was like adamant of like, I want to be seen as like just any other American artist. But I think at the same time, like both genres have incredible things about them that I would love to be able to kind of straddle the middle line on it, and why not?
But are the genres even that different? Because like K-pop is pop, and like pop, like I don't know.
That's the thing. It's just people who like to put us in boxes.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's what it is. I think people need, like, we as humans need to be able to understand and fully absorb things, and the best way we do that is by categorizing.
Yeah, breaking it down,
Yeah.
separating.
Exactly. And so
Ugh.
that's what it is. I don't really mind. If you think of me as K-pop, that's cool. If you think of me as pop, that's cool too.
This album, There and Back Again, what songs did you write yourself? What songs are given to you?
So I wrote I Don't Know You Anymore, Any Other Way, Admit, and Lost on Me, and oh my gosh,
So a lot of them.
I wrote 5 of the 7.
Oh wow.
2 of them, Wildfire was one that my producer Rabbit had written with 2 other writers like years back, and we just kind of stumbled upon it. I was like, this is great. Why is this not out? And I fell in love with it. And then similar to One Way Lover, which was the song that he and Kevin Garrett did. Wow. And Kevin Garrett is somebody that incredibly talented, hilarious. But I've been a fan of his music for a long time, and so.
What about One Way Lover? Did you resonated with you?
It was I think sonically, it stands kind of alone on the album. Like I wanted something that felt a little more ballady, lo-fi, but not like a traditional piano ballad in the sense. And when I heard the demo, Kevin has this incredibly rich, deep voice and tone that I thought I would hopefully be able to beat. I don't know if I beat it. Like the demo was so good. But it's the melodies, it's the story, it's that concept of, you can feel like you're in a relationship or in or out of a relationship, but does this person that you love so much or that has moved on from you, would they even consider you, or do they think about you the same way you think about them? Which I think anybody can understand and relate to in a romantic or platonic relationship.
Oh, yeah. Story of my life. I am very much a one-way lover.
Zach, I feel like we need to have I'm going to do a special podcast, and it's just called Eric and Zach. Wow. And we're just going to break it down.
You're going to come out of podcast retirement for this exclusive
for
interview?
Wow. This is just for You.
You know, I would have taken just a normal invitation when the podcast was around.
You know
but
what?
This is a lot.
This is a special episode just for you, and we're gonna license this to Cumulus. It's gonna be great. It's gonna do all
great. I'm sure my company's gonna be clamoring for it. They're gonna be excited.
Okay.
They're gonna be like, wow,
right.
that interview is gonna be a big one.
It's gonna be viral. But okay, I realized I didn't answer your question about the album title. There and Back Again.
Is it related to the fact that you've done a lot in life, or no?
No, I think it was more of like two things. First of all, in a very literal sense, I feel like I was born and raised here. Had to go to Korea, started a career, and now I'm back here trying to like do something. I don't know, do music and like entertainment things.
You have your story is really wild because like.
Yeah.
You are one of the few people from America who went overseas and like was not just embraced by the Korean people, but like, I mean, the Asian people as a whole. I mean, you are like, God.
Yeah, why? I don't know.
No, I was saying it's wild. I do wonder why. I mean, I get you're a good-looking guy, but also at the same time, like everybody wants Western, but they also want what they know. So, do you feel like you were put into a stereotype almost?
I don't know. I feel I have like very often I have like conversations in my head about like why and how did this work out, because it still baffles me. But I think I'll say it this way. Like, I think for a long time, being a Korean American or being Asian American in the States, it felt as if it was a hindrance, or it was like something that was supposed to hold me back because we were never seen or we were never heard, or I never envisioned myself in certain pockets of industry or situations or society. And then I go to Korea, and in Korea, oftentimes I felt fish out of water because I couldn't fully understand the language or speak the language or know what I was doing. And so I never felt like I belonged in either place fully. But I think right now, the way that I've kind of transitioned the way I think about my life, my identity, and maybe the appeal of what Korean American or Asian American people are doing is that we have a very unique perspective in that we're third culture. We have a little bit of both sides. And what used to feel like a hindrance now feels like a superpower, because we understand both cultures better than anybody else can. And we also can kind of play to the strengths of everything.
Yeah.
And it sounds almost too opportunistic to say like we're taking advantage of, but I feel like it would be dumb not to, because we are best equipped to kind of bridge the gap in cultures and countries and culture or societies, I should say.
100%. And it's also rare that you were able to achieve great success in K-pop without being in a group. I mean, there's very few solo K-pop artists like that are very incredibly famous. G-Dragon, one of them, Icon.
Okay,
but
facts.
That is right?
Facts. Okay, this is like something I've thought about this a lot, because I recognize like I've been very successful and I'm so thankful and I'm very, very blessed. But I look at my peers and I'm like, and I think it's hard not to compare yourself to the people around you. You know, why don't I have the success or this of this other person or that group or whatever? But it is very rare to find a solo artist that did not derive from a group.
Oh, 100%. And the biggest solo artists were once in a group.
Yes. There was a list of like top male solo. I was like, everybody in here is from a massive group.
Yeah.
Like it's like tiny percentage of people who are like, oh, we started as solo artists and we're still solo artists. Which then I'm just like, man, thank the Lord we kind of made it somehow, and just kind of keep chugging along somehow.
Why though? Like, why do you feel like you need to start in a group to become big as a solo artist?
That's a very big, deep question that has to do with the role music groups play in Korea and in Asia. Mm-hmm. And it's all about like everybody has their bias and they're attached to their shade of the group. And then in some situations, like, you know, I know that there's groups that exist where people literally, based on when you buy their songs, it will be linked to an artist, and that data determines where the artist ranks in the group as a whole.
Yeah.
And that determines how much even screen time they get. It's a big question.
That's like,
answer.
I think the easiest way to answer that is like, I think groups, when you think of it from like a label perspective, groups are probably less of a risky investment than a solo artist, because if you have 10 people in a group, chances are
you'll find
you're
one.
going to find one person in that group you're like, I love this person. This is my ultimate stan or whatever.
Yeah. Bias.
Bias, yes. And so it's easier to kind of, spread the risk across 10 kids as opposed to we're going to go all in on one. And then the other thing that I think, big reason why K-pop does so well is because, it's all human, normal people. They just are in really cool groups, but they love seeing like the interaction and the chemistry within
Amongst
the
them.
team. So like all the YouTube channels and all the fan memes and everything that go around are like members hanging out with each other and like pulling pranks and having fun. Whereas for me, I don't have members. So I'm just like by myself all the time, twiddling my thumbs, be like, I guess I'm just gonna like
Post another photo of just me alone.
just like another selfie. So that's something
Here is my friend.
yeah, it's like my invisible friend, buddy. But that's something that I've always been very open about. Is like I wish sometimes I had a group because I would have somebody or some people to like enjoy and like share
The experience
with.
Gosh.
And I think again from a more technical level, from a label perspective, it's riskier.
But at the same time, you wouldn't have creative control. I don't know if you've had creative control your whole career, but is that something that you would worry about in a group, that you have to kind of adapt to these other people?
I'm sure. I think when you're in a group, it's like okay for the better good, like for
It's for the greater
majority wins
good.
kind of
Yeah,
thing, right?
totally.
But then if you look at like the solo artists right now who are, who make it on the charts, they're all derived from the group. So I think the strategy's been make them massive as a group, and then once you're massive, then you get to do all your little solo like massive projects.
Yeah.
Not little projects, massive projects. And that's kind of been their trajectory. For me, when I got to Korea, I was totally down to be in a group, but they're like, you're too old. And I was like, the ripe old age of 23. And I was like, man, I must be freaking like...
You are weathered.
Like a mummy or something. Because like, they were like, ooh, 23. Like, you're going to be so old. Like, everybody's like 14. And I was like, all right, that sounds odd. Like, let's not do that. So... yeah, that's kind of how it worked out. It's just life. You can always think like, what if, or like, wonder what would have happened. But I think for me, like to your point, Dan, like I have a lot of creative control now. Like I've done a lot of my career on my own terms, for better or for worse. But I like to think that as a Korean American, it allowed me to kind of really flex like everything I learned in school and like growing up here, and then kind of learn as much as I could when I moved to Korea and like really be embraced and also embrace the country and the culture and the people and yeah.
And you always did more than just music. You were on TV hosting and doing a bunch of stuff. And the truth is, all we want is somebody to ride this journey with us, right?
Yeah.
To experience all the things that, this life and this career has been able to afford you. Do you have somebody who rides with you? Your brother?
That dude, yeah. My brother, he's over there in the corner. No, my brother, I think we probably started working together in like 2015, 14 officially. But he quit his job and became my manager, like my international manager, which like for us was like code for like, let's figure out how to do things they tell us we can't do and just do it in the States. And that's kind of how we kind of worked around. So, we think about even like touring or the music or everything. Like we've literally had to fight like for every single win. Like in 2017, 18, we're like, we want to go on tour. We're like, how? Like nobody's going to do that. So my brother Eddie worked on putting together just like 3 small shows in New York and Atlanta, which sold out immediately. And then we've just grown it every year. We go back, went from 3 to 16 to 30 something to now 50 something.
Hell yeah.
And it's that growing and the organic growth and building that we've done together that's been really enjoyable in that way.
Fashion, you've also added that to your list of things that you do. Is that fair? Like I see your Instagram and they're great photos.
Thank you.
And you're very fashion forward.
Thank you. I try. I feel like I'm fake. Honestly, I feel like my life is fake until you make it. Like even to this day, I'm just like, we'll figure it out. They'll catch me one day. I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, it's true. But that's life.
Do you really feel like you're faking it?
In so many ways, I'm just like not faking it, but I'm just like figuring everything out as we go. And I wish there was like a playbook for how to run like music and a career and all this stuff. But everything is like new. It's for the first time. And also going back to the fact that like there really aren't Asian solo artists much anywhere.
Totally.
Like, and so there is no right answer. We just try to have to like navigate the waters the best we can. And so fashion is one of those things where I've always had an interest in fashion, but I just didn't even know where or how to get into it. And so luckily we've just gotten connected with some really great people, and they invite us to cool shows and we have fun. And I try to look like I know what I'm doing.
It works.
Thank you.
Do you dress yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I have like a stylist in Korea, but she's clearly in Korea.
So
it doesn't really, it doesn't really work out. And so I'll like run things by her, but for the most part, it's this album though, like she helped a lot. Like she definitely styled the album, but everything
from afar?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then like, but now I was in Korea in August. And so,
oh, cool.
So it's a lot, but yeah.
Are you afraid that the English records, which I want to dive into the ones that you wrote, are you afraid that they hit different in Korea, or do you feel like they have the same impact?
They're definitely going to hit different, but I think I'm not afraid because I think I've conditioned my fans or listeners to expect that I do a lot of music in English and expect that I'll be doing things that are very pop, Western forward, which I don't know. That's the only way it makes sense for me.
On this album, was there any thought of maybe doing a song that was both English and Korean lyrics, or
no?
Why? Why is that so out of the train of thought?
Because it feels like, and not to say like I won't. I mean, a lot of my Korean songs have a lot of English lyrics in them, but for me, if it's gonna be Eric Nam making his, debut as a U.S. independent artist or whatever, like I don't want people to be like, oh, but like, can you speak English or can you speak Korean? Like, it's still a question that happens. Like, I recently had a question. It was like, are you from North or South Korea? I was like,
what?
I'm dead. Like,
you're from Atlanta, Georgia. What the?
And I was like, oh, I like couldn't tell if it was a joke or not, but they were like dead serious, and I was like, oh, well, how far do we need to go with this? It's like I know for people like yourselves and people like my fans who are much more aware and knowledgeable and like woke, dare I say, like I don't need to explain it to you guys, but when I'm thinking mass America, Western audiences that don't know who I am, the thought of me singing in Korean or me doing things in a foreign language can still be very like
confusing.
Yeah. And so I want to come out swinging with like, I'm American. Like just deal with it. Like that, like if I want to put something out in Korean, maybe I will. But right now it's like everything's in English. I sing better in English. I know exactly what I'm saying in English. There are no nuances. There's no chance for misinterpretation. And when I write in English, it's just better. And so even when I was putting stuff out in Korea and it had English lyrics in them, it was because like I couldn't fully translate what I was doing in the original demo to Korean. So I've always felt like I was really struggling with my Korean songs in many ways. And so I think my audience, they're very much aware that I do stuff in English. I think I'll probably end up putting some Korean stuff out in the near future, but right now I think the focus is let's get this right.
It's these records, which by the way, they're great. They are really good.
Have you listened to them? Thank you.
I listened to it. You listened to it too, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So I don't know you anymore. Sounds like a message to somebody, yes?
Yeah. Remember that fight I told you about? Yeah.
Yeah.
About that. Like, it's all kind of, it was around that same time frame of like, I was like, oh man, like sometimes I just wish I didn't have to deal with this at all. And like, that was like a conversation in the writing room. And that's how that song came about, pretty much.
Do you fight with somebody and then like keep track of your feelings and you harbor them until it's song time? How does that work?
I have like a black book where, no, just kidding. Totally kidding.
You should. An inspiration journal.
I
emotion.
just take notes down on my phone.
Oh.
But more than just like, I always walk into a session with like a concept of like, I want to like write about this. Like one song that we wrote that is not being put out is called like Traumatized. And it was like thinking about like the years back about things that I've had to deal with that were traumatic for me. And it didn't feel right to put on this album. So we didn't, but things like that. But for this case, it was more of like, we walked in and they're like, what are you feeling? Like, how are you doing? I was like, I'm not doing well. I'm like very bitter and I'm angry and I'm upset. And this is why. And I wish I could say I just don't know you anymore. And that's kind of how the song came to be.
Do you share it with the person you fought with?
No. I mean, they'll probably hear it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's I don't think my songs need to be like weaponized in that way. It almost feels like,
I mean, they're going to be out anyway.
yeah, they're gonna be out anyways. But if they're like, oh yeah, I heard it, it's probably about you, then like cool. But like, I don't want to be like, hey, I wrote this about you. Now go listen to it, and this is what you made me feel. Like that. It feels like kind of petty, and also like, I don't know. I just don't want to get there or go there. So I just,
Safe.
Yeah.
Healthy. Very kind.
Can we talk about what if? I don't have a specific question. I
Yeah.
just love to talk about my favorite songs and ask you to tell me about it. But after I listened to the album a couple of times, I kept going back to what if. There's something about it that
Really?
I just like how it sounds.
Thank you. You know what's fascinating? Like literally every interview I've done, every conversation, everybody has a different favorite song.
Okay.
Which is, I don't know if that to
That's
me
okay.
is like, oh, it's like all the songs are really solid, or because it's like, I don't know, like this is the only one I like. But it's anyways. What if was
Well, are you hoping that everyone agrees on one song? So you're like, that's
No.
it. That's the song.
no. What it was really hard for us to pick like a single.
Okay.
It took us forever, and it took so much justifying, so much back and forth with like our distribution team and like all the people involved, and everybody was voting, and it just.
But you're independent. Don't you call the shots?
I call the shots, but like again, I don't know what I'm doing. Like this is a common theme. I don't know what I'm doing, and so I try to take as much of an educated guess as possible. And so that's what I'm doing. But anyways,
By the way, I think it's a good thing that everybody has a different favorite.
no, yeah,
It shows reach, and people are going to be, again, like if there's 7 members in a group, you're gonna like one of them.
Yeah, seven songs of this album. You can like one of them. That's all
I mean,
want.
chances are you're gonna like one of them.
Exactly. So what if? How did I? That was with myself, and it was. I don't even remember. It was Ben, Beham, Sweet Talker, Rabbit, and me. So it was a process, but. Man, I should have listened to my songs before I came.
It's like
Here's the thing. Here's the other thing. I finished this stuff in like July and August or something.
Oh, it's been a minute.
I have to remember the lyrics. What if I was but it's like am I doing a good job selling this album? I don't know you anymore in any other way. I could talk about anytime. Lost Some I could talk about anytime. Nobody's asked me to explain what if, but what if? This is great practice for when we're doing an
That's great.
interview. Right?
Good practice for this.
just watching your thought process right now.
Eddie's gonna throw something at me from over in the corner. He's like, get it together.
He's just shaking his head
I
over there.
know. He's just like, yeah.
So, what if you tell us about what if?
Yeah, it's about like wondering like, what if I had done something differently? Would we still be in a relationship? Just like the song says. And the final lyrics are, I can't help but wonder where your head and heart is. Maybe that's the reason why I'm scared of calling. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. It's wondering. It's like asking these questions, being introspective and retrospective of like, what if I had done something differently? What if we were together? What if we had worked out? And it didn't, clearly. And as this did not work out right now, Dan's over there like crying.
You've been in a relationship as of like the last year or two?
Not in the last year or two. It's been a minute.
Oh my God, then who are you talking about?
It's just,
What are you just harboring heartbreak?
it's, I feel like I think I harbor heartbreak.
Are you storing that for years? It's collecting mold and dust?
No, I mean, I think, I haven't been in like a serious relationship, but I feel like there's always people in and out of your life, and also it's the pandemic. It's been hard to date during the pandemic.
You're right.
Anyone else?
That's the excuse I've been using for the last 28 years.
But it's, that's like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Moral of the story: the song is "It is what it is."
I hate hearing people say it is what it is. No, it is what it is,
We've
but
just triggered Zach.
you have the ability to change what it is.
Sometimes Sometimes it just is what it is.
So it is what it is.
True.
Zach's like, this is the most disappointing guy ever. I'm just like, don't know what I'm doing. It is what it is. We make it up as we go. And he's like, you are clearly.
It is what you want it to be. It isn't what it is.
It is what. Here's my honest opinion on like music in general. I think songs. It is what it is to whatever the listener like.
Oh,
how they take it.
as it is art, yes.
As it is art.
It is art.
Oh, I was like,
You need headphones because I have great diction in my ears,
hold
bro.
on. I'm gonna put these on. Didn't even realize
My diction is flawless. You would know if you had me on your podcast, but like, my diction is super.
Wow, the diction there is really great. It is what it is. It is art, and I think I want listeners to like every time I put out a song, I don't try to overshare like what it's about or like the context because I think every song speaks to a certain person a different way.
I
and
agree.
They relate to it in a different way. And when it's like an overpowering narration of what it is to me personally, it kind of takes away from that, like immersing them into that experience.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
But by the way, like, I agree with that.
You deserve a drink of water.
But in my case, like I think my form of going through things and airing that is through these songs, but it doesn't need to be pointed to a certain person publicly.
Totally.
In that way.
But for you, it is. When you're recording that record, it is.
But for me personally, it is. But then I think, there's also a time and place. Maybe a few years down the road, like when I'm over all of this and I'm like, hey, this is actually what happened. Like,
So-
totally.
Writing songs about it doesn't help you get over it?
No, I mean, it's part of the process. I think it's part of the process, and then you get it out there and you kind of just move on. But every time, it's the other thing that's interesting is like what I've been doing this for. Oh gosh, like
400 years.
9,000 years, decades.
Literally me when I'm trying to talk about anything.
But I think like the meanings of songs also, like you have that intentional, that first feeling of when you wrote the song.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, I mean younger, you the meanings also kind of like it changes the perspective and like, oh yeah, this is how I felt at that time, but like I'm so glad it's almost like a diary.
100%.
In many ways, and over the past few years, just like hearing other songs, I'm like, oh, right. I'm glad we've moved on from that part of my life, and it gives me a healthier way of framing how I should approach that memory or that experience or that relationship, rather than me right now being on the edge of it, being like, F you, or that kind of thing. It just, to me, it's more of like an old man graceful way of doing things.
Eric Nam is really trying to push this narrative that he's elderly. How old are you?
Me, I'm 17. What are you talking about? I'm 17.
Can you
forever.
Google how old?
I'm 17, guys.
13 going on 30.
Olivia and I are like, we went to the same high school. We were in the same graduating class.
Eric Nam, 17 years old.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google confirms.
Google doesn't lie.
What does famous birthdays say?
17.
17.
Wow.
November 17th, 17.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You're an
Oh, do you?
independent artist.
I am.
You have to fund a lot of things yourself.
Yeah.
Is that why you're shooting things on an iPhone?
Oh, hell yeah.
Is it really?
No. So we were somehow able to get the iPhone 13 before it was released. And they're like, do you want to play with the iPhone and like try shooting things? We're like, absolutely. So cool. And so this entire album we shot in Savannah, Georgia. And so I think Savannah is a very interesting place. It has a very rich but also kind of a dark history. But to capture as much as we could on like traditional massive cameras, but also like the iPhone's so like powerful.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. So we wanted to do a series of live performance videos using the iPhone, but that's what we did. It was great.
Brah, if you happen to be out there, send one of your Apple people my way. I want something. Like, give me a mask. I've tried to get one of they make their own masks.
Really? I got a t-shirt. I went to the store and they gave me a t-shirt, an Apple t-shirt.
Do you know they don't sell, the only place to get official Apple merchandise is in Cupertino at their campus.
Really?
Yes. So the fact that you have an actual Apple t-shirt is huge. They have one merch store and it's in
Really?
Cupertino. You have to either work there, like work for like a Genius or whatever. That's how you get an Apple shirt, or you buy it in Cupertino.
Well, they were just handing out at the store opening.
That
They-
is-
It has like the Apple Grove, like.
Wow.
It's a really cool shirt.
Oh, that's iconic.
Do you want me to send it to you? I'll send it.
No, I mean like it's your shirt. I don't
No,
want to take
it's
your
fine.
shirt.
It's fine.
No, like you, like clearly, like you have a lot of
No,
friends
no.
there.
Next time I come, I'll bring that shirt for you. And
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's yours.
Thanks. I'm not jealous or anything. Gosh, One Way Lover. We talked about that. Lost on Me. We have not talked about that record. Do you like that one, Daniel?
I love it. That one's out. I've heard that. I've like watched that music video.
It's the single. It's a vibe.
It is what it is. So.
It is what it is. And Lost on Me, it's about. Here's the thing. So like relationships. Okay, real quick. I feel like oftentimes you can walk away just being really spiteful or like really hurt and damaged from a relationship. But then every once in a while you have like the people in your life you're like, that person kind of sucked, but I still walk away having learned a lot. Or like have a different perspective on who I am or life or whatever. And so that's what it is. Like your love, your words, what we went through, it's not lost on me. Oftentimes, like, and I thought of like lost on me in the sense of like, you say something and like, I have no idea what you're saying. But it's your love wasn't lost on me, your words weren't lost on me. And it's more of a positive spin on people that leave your life. And that's what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like I do believe that we are rocks, our experiences, weather, things, they happen for a reason, but also they stick with you. And you have the opportunity to learn and grow from everything.
I feel like it's oftentimes like we're like, I'm never going to talk to that person ever again. I'm never going to think like, and you just delete them. But at the same time, it's like if they were a big part of your life, it's hard to just end it like that. Like
Totally.
For me, I need the closure to be like, hey, at least I learned something from this kind of thing.
Oh,
You know?
I just got rid of a friendship of 12 years.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's
That
fine.
sucks.
It's not fine. But, I mean, I figured it out.
Oh, man.
It was a dwindling of months, like it just like fizzled over months.
Was it like a bad breakup? Essentially, it has to have been. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty interesting story. I may or may have not have admitted that I loved my best friend.
Yeah, I know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Happens. But the truth is, it was a very toxic relationship, incredibly one-sided. They were highly reliant on me, so getting rid of that allowed me to free up space and time for other people and other things and better, healthier things.
That's great.
Amen.
It's painful, I'm sure, but it's a healthier mindset on it.
100%.
1000%. Congrats on moving forward on that.
I've been there and back again.
When did you feel comfortable speaking up or out or just being you, or have you always felt comfortable? Or did it take time?
Honestly, I think I'm still figuring it out. I think it's still, because even though I'm here in the States doing things here, like people still watch and listen to everything that I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And so it still puts me a little bit at like a cautious approach to everything. I think it's, also when you've lived this way for like 10 years and like, it kind of scares me to be like, I'm going to talk about all these different things just like openly. And it just, because again, I've been in the situation where like things get misconstrued, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a clip from this interview that people are like, what did he say? Why did he say it that way? And then I'm just sitting there like, okay, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. If it's on the internet, it's just the internet. It'll pass in
I hope so,
48
yeah.
hours.
Well, yes, that's the hope. That's always the hope.
That is the hope. Doesn't always happen.
Not.
Anyway, there and back again. That is the album. Link in the description below to
Please
listen to
check
Eric
it out.
Nom's music. No link in the description to listen to his podcast, as he will be emerging with a new one soon.
Yeah, it's the exclusive. It's the Zach and Eric show.
Eric Nom, everybody.
Yes.
Listen to his music, please.
Please
there
check
and
it
back
out.
again.
Come see me on tour. Yeah,
Oh, I'll be there.
it'll be a lot of fun.
Put it in my calendar, Dan.
It's not my job.
Eric Nom. Listen to his music. Thank you.